Hello, Mithril here once again, getting back to Magmammal 2, and it's time for the Talkie Bit Judge Commentary on the last two stages we just played. So, first up we have 54th place, Burrowers Orbital Station. Snowrun Pyro. This has to be one of the most baffling levels I've ever played. Why are they just random unmarked fields where you lose control and get slammed into spikes? Why are there random unmarked platforms that flip gravity? Why are there completely useless anti-grav sections that have no gameplay whatsoever? Why are there warning signs? What is happening? Basically my experience playing the level. I had to look in the editor to find like half the nickels here because there's literally an alternate path that you get to by just knowing one of the ceilings is randomly gonna flip your gravity and take you to a completely different path. Then there's an alternate path on the alternate path that you access by doing the very intuitive thing of walking off a ledge into spikes, but suddenly anti-grav activates and it carries you through a hole in the spikes. And besides the frustrating unmarked and unintroduced gravity stuff, there's really not much to it. The boss fight with Whopper is incredibly annoying because the Whopper is really high up, and it makes it hard to hit. Wire is disabled for some reason, and you have to collect it, except it doesn't benefit you in any way, shape, or form. It's just a completely bizarre level that almost seems more focused on actually putting and making the custom assets be there, instead of actually making a good level out of them. I will give points for the elevator though, that was pretty neat. Too bad it's literally impossible to find unless you want to test every possible situation you can die in. Jupe Hornet. I ran right, fought some enemies, went through some random wind, fought a hippo, went down, went left, went through gravity with seemingly no reason to exist, went right, fought some more enemies, saw some nice custom assets, fought a boss that's really just a mini-boss, and then the level ended. What just happened? Angel. This level has certain difficulties in introducing its concepts to the player. The idea is it has all come and go as they please, without proper introductions or indication as to when they're active. The elephant in the room here is the moon jump mechanic, which, while also awkward to control, isn't consistently active between areas, not even based on the environment. When I met with it the first time, I considered it a glitch due to the suction mechanic in the previous room, also altering player movement. Yeah, I kinda did that too. The level's spike dropping mechanic is also not properly introduced until the end of the level, while one of the noble nickels requires it. Said nickel, too, is hidden in a very obscure place that I couldn't find after several playthroughs and jumping into random pits. If the level was restructured to better make use of the spike dropping, and if it had an indication as to when the moon jump is active, plus a safe zone to introduce it, it would have been much better and way less confusing. Guerrieri. This is a very good level. The design isn't perfect. I can see that some sections feel either unnecessary or buggy. However, the stage layout is very interesting, and I found the main gimmick pretty awesome, although it is glitchy. I do think the level lacks polish in areas, but otherwise, it's really fun. A-Spark. Why would you put in such a complex gimmick and barely test it? This level cost me so many soft locks with Mega Man stuck in midair like a lemon. This is almost unplayable. It's not even hard to do this. Simple exploration by the player will get them stuck. Don't get me wrong, cool concept, horrid execution. So even if your primary gimmick wasn't functionally busted, it usually doesn't even make sense when it does work. There's invisible gravity switches, random moments where the player just can't control Mega Man. None of this with any graphical indication of where and why this is occurring at all. Yeah, no, this is horrendous. By the way, your boss doesn't even want to face in my general direction. Quality. Please, learn to test your levels. Yeah, this stage... A lot of indication really needed to be there, and it just wasn't. It was trial and error that got me anywhere in this stage with that gimmick. I understand the basic principles of how the gimmick works. It is basically, like they said, a moon jump, during which you have no carried momentum, which is kind of a staple of Mega Man control, giving you that level of control mid-jump that a lot of games don't give you. Look at Castlevania. Look at Ghouls and Ghosts. Yeah, anyway, suddenly taking that away from Mega Man makes for a very awkward stage, especially when you don't really solidly indicate when or where that's going to happen. Same for the anti-grav, there was no real indication of when or where that was going to happen either. Had it all been solely limited to the outside the station parts, that would have made sense, but it happens inside too sometimes, I think. It was just a really confusing level. So next up we had 53rd, Dylan Labiuk's Shovel Knight. Snowrun Pyro, adorable level in general, and I really like how you sort of replicated gimmicks from the original Shovel Knight stages with the pre-made assets, like the fire blocks from the Explodatorium replaced with the fire pillars, among other things. Though I think its idea as a Shovel Knight in review stage is its downfall. It's pretty unfocused. Even if it is cute, some enemies are used like once ever, and there's some pretty weird design decisions too, like the spike drop in the treasure ship, where you drop onto MM6 flip platforms, and you have barely any time to actually react and jump off. Also, the sled section is pretty meh, mostly because of the gravity flipping section, because it's pretty much impossible to dodge the counterpellers as they're coming at you. The usage of the gimmicks also suffers too, because of, again, its status as a game in review level. The usage of the bouncy lava especially stands out to me because there's like literally 2 screens of it and 1 enemy total. But while the level design is pretty weird, I think the level still manages to be good with the little touches, like how you put the jelly beetle in the mole knight section, and all the encounters with the knights that earn you nubble nickels. Adorable level overall. Jupe Hornet. I have no idea what that level was, but I somehow managed to beat it without dying the first time I played it. The second time I wasn't so lucky. The set of challenges is kind of a mess, with more gimmicks than any I've seen in this contest. There's some weird stuff in here that I highly doubt many other people did in their levels, like the upside-down Frostman sled. There are also some parts I didn't really care for, like the castle challenge, with all the clouds, and the invisible platforming section. Also, I've never played Shovel Knight, and I'm no graphical genius, but I'm pretty sure a lot of those tile sets weren't used correctly. Angel. This stage feels like it was designed solely on the premise of Shovel Knight aesthetic, and I feel like its coherency and structure suffer under it a lot. There are general ideas in this stage, but they don't persist long enough to become interesting at all, causing the stage to end up as an amazingly looking reference to Shovel Knight that fails to live up in terms of gameplay. Guerrieri. Unfortunately, great ideas don't always turn out the way you expect them to. So is the case with this level. While I seriously respect the amount of creativity put into the obstacle and enemy selection and variety, this stage suffers from level design that just feels random and often unfair, as well as messed up graphics, in addition to bugs. In other words, it's one really interesting level that could have been fantastic, but I'm afraid the problems relating to the bad level design prevent this from being a reality. And a spark. I think the fault with this stage lies in your concept. Lots of mini stages are not really a good idea. Gimmicks and enemies were chosen at seeming random. And then the biggest crime, you did absolutely nothing with them. I found exactly one area creative and well thought out, Spectre Nights segment. This was your highlight, and I won't lie, I thought it pretty nifty. Then it was over, and I moved on to the weird Polar Night segment. This stage felt like you were just messing about with a dev kit. Each segment is too short for its own good. Your Mole Knight segment introduced a gimmick, the slime, and then ended as you introduced it. My recommendation, ditch the idea behind this. Stick to one area of a game when converting, choose appropriate gimmicks for your segment, and then really squeeze said gimmicks to their limit. Spectre Nights area shows you have a few neat ideas, but one good segment out of several does not a good stage make. Graphically, there are major issues, misplaced and misaligned new assets, and using tiles inappropriately. I mean, you even use animated tiles without their animation. There's also a potential soft lock in Spectre Nights area. There are missing collision tiles, and it's entirely possible to get yourself stuck. You're also missing certain pits, both issues fixed post-judging. The other redeeming aspect of this level, and I'm sure most will disagree with me, is the nickels. They're well hidden and fun to find, although the one in Mole Knight segment is a little silly. I'm not sure the Spectre Night area really stood out to me that much, other than just hologram spam. But yeah, the Polar Night area was weird. Just really weird. Overall, I like the concept of this stage, because, I mean, it's no secret, I love Shovel Knight. That was a really great game. But yeah, I do feel like more could have been done here, and maybe having more focus would have helped. But then, too, there's just so much that's really good in Shovel Knight. Like, I still wish all of the Knights of the Order of No Quarter got playable campaigns instead of just 3 of them. But I digress. That's another topic entirely. But with that, that's where we're going to call it for now, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and I shall see you again next time. Until then, fare thee well.